Familiar faces. I guess we're doing this dance again, eh? Taylor, Leah, you guys want to get to start?
So you've got a lot of late start times coming up over these next couple of days. Does that throw things off at all? Does it change how you go into the day?
Yeah, I mean, I think the 8:30 start, which is really an 8:50 puck drop, is there's no way around that. It does mess a little bit with your day, and it messes probably more with your next day because by the time you get out of the rink, decompress, the players cool down, eat. A lot of these guys aren't getting to sleep. It's tough enough to sleep after a big game. You throw overtime in. The biggest effect is usually on the next day.
Are you worried about that, considering how many last year went to overtime?
Yeah. No, I'm not worried about it. It is what it is. You deal with it. I think being a Central Division team, I think, we deal with the late starts because of television, and it's just something that comes with our location and the division we're in.
Is that why you try to get more out of these first couple of days? Because you may end up having to cancel practice or make them optional?
Yeah, I don't anticipate a lot of off-day practices with the 8:30 starts. Now, we haven't got start times for the rest of the schedule yet, but we'll see where that goes. But, it's going to be really tough between 1 and 2 and probably between 2 and 3, to practice the next day anyway. 3 will probably practice the morning we fly.
What have you accomplished in these couple of days? Seems like a lot of detail work.
Yeah, a lot of detail work. It's nice to have some practices. I think our game has been in a good place for a while here, and so you're just sharpening up some details. There's some things that Vegas does that's unique to Vegas that you want to talk about, but for me, we can't get paralyzed by that. Our game, is good, and when we're on it, I'd put it up there against anybody.
Perhaps you just answer what I'm going to ask. Right?
Nick?
I know how well you know them.
Yeah.
What are your unknowns? Is it just who's in the lineup? How's your lineup look with just their
Oh, I think we all know who's in the lineup, don't we? Come on. Are we really doing that?
I don't know, just Bigstone and Petrangelo,
Yeah.
Carrier.
I'm assuming they're all in, yeah. So, I think that's the assumption, and good, let's go, drop the puck.
Pete, last year you called the series a war.
Yeah.
You said a couple days ago you expect another war. I
Yeah.
don't know how much you caught of that Boston-Toronto game last
Yeah.
night, but, it really ratchets it up, and being the first round series this time around, I guess, how does that change, if at all, in terms of that switch?
Yeah. Well, I think, and Butch should probably say the same thing. I think early in the playoffs, you're always managing some emotion, from your players. It's really the first time a lot of us have had any kind of extended period off to kind of recharge, as a group. So you've got, energy levels back up high. You've got, in Vegas's case, guys coming back after sitting for a while. They're going to be up here. First game of the playoffs, everyone goes to here. So, as a coach, you've always got to manage that a little bit, and you got to expect that, you're going to see some things that you're not going to see as the series get into the meat of the series. I think the teams are going to settle into playing the way that we normally play. But not surprising you see that around the league in game one anywhere, and I would expect it's probably going to be a lot of the same here.
I guess how much leeway do you have to,
Yeah.
given that, that first period,
Yeah.
before you say something? Or
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We both have experienced groups, so I think we talk about it. I think we know the importance of the early parts of the series, particularly last year, losing the first 2 games in overtime and getting in that hole. Was essentially the series. We tried to climb back in, but you get in a hole, I think, against a really good team at this time of year. Early in a series, it's really hard to climb out.
When you look back to that series, is there
Ken?
an area that you think that's maybe where we weren't good enough, and do you feel like that's going to be corrected this time around?
Yeah. I think Vegas showed they were a deeper team than everybody in the league last year, and everyone they went through their depth, I thought, decided the series. So, and I think the same. I mean, you can point to, a technical thing here, a technical thing there, but that's the reality. And you know what, the times I've lost in the final, most of the time it's been to a deeper team, so, or every time it's been to a deeper team. I think that, and I think we've rectified that. I think we're on a much more level playing field this year.
You feel that on forwards and defense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's can compete with Vegas's defense depth-wise. I think that's something pretty special, but everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, and, we might have better depth other places.
Are you better, the depth is number one, are you better
Yeah.
in other ways than you were last year, like scoring off
Yeah.
push, for example? Or-
Yeah, we're a better team, but again, it's because of our depth. We talked here at length over the last 2 months. I mean, it was 12 months ago we were described as a one-line team, and essentially we probably were. I don't think anyone's using that adjective anymore. So
You do all the planning. You've had a week to get ready for the playoffs, and then a few days for Vegas. When does the chess match of your adjustments really start to kick in?
I think after game one, I think, when you get in a series, I think the coaches go back and look at the tape and look at what was effective, what wasn't, what they maybe did that you didn't expect, or did really well, that you couldn't handle. I think that's when that starts. But I said this last year, you get to this point of the year, a lot of the coaching is done. You hand the keys to the players. They know what has to be done. There's adjustments here, there's adjustments there, but the players will decide. They always usually do.
Is there an emotional element to your depth as well? I mean, you guys signed the banner, the flag at the beginning of the year, and it just seems like there's support of when somebody else does something, you almost take as much pride in that as a player.
Well, I think we've gotten great buy-in on our depth. If you look at the minutes our forwards play, significantly lower than a lot of the top guys in the league, significantly more spread out, and in a lot of cases significantly less than where some of these guys had been playing in different spots they'd been in. So, we've gotten great buy-in there, and I think that's reflected in our record.
Has that allowed your team to be maybe fresher to start
For sure.
the playoffs?
Fresher, less injuries. I think all those things have factored into that. I think that plays a role. We're not a young team, either. I think we've got a nice mix, but we've got some guys that wouldn't be considered young players. That also I think are much more effective with a little bit less.